morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I am the badass Buddha, Lori Monaco, coming to you from a very cold eastern Tennessee where it was frost on the ground today, and it was unexpected. It was hella chilly, but it's pretty, and it's going to warm up. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning, good morning. Buenos dias, Evelyn, 3 times the glam. Good morning, we love you. Um, it's been cold the last 2 nights here in Tampa. Like you need a sweater and it's like uncomfortable. Not a light sweater. Like last night I have 2 sweaters on. And good morning, Kathy. And this morning it was like 47 degrees. So I guess it's just,
Wow.
Sir Winter is just passing through here because then it'll be like 90 degrees next week. But you sound very stuffy.
Yeah, I'm not feeling well.
Mm.
Good morning, Tiffany. We missed you. Haven't seen you in a bit.
Tiffany, Brian, Leanne.
Good
I can't
morning,
wait to go
Ian.
hiking with you, Leanne. Badass Buddha is feeling a bit under the weather. That's it. She's not sick. She's not unwell. She's just, you know what? She's what's that word? Um, we'll just use the other one because my words have been escaping me. She's adjusting to her new climate area. Cold is not cold everywhere you live. So, okay, I got it. I got it. Her body's now acclimating to the weather there. So, of
Ooh, acclimate.
course, she's going to, the whole body has to come up and say, okay, we're all here now. And this is what happens. So, that's why when I go to Spain, that's why I said the first 5 to 7 days I'm walking in the cities, um, getting acclimated to their winter, and my body walking in their weather before I actually start the Camino Frances, because then that way I'll be a little more, not so much so, but a little more, and a little is always better than nothing, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a
So
preparation,
yeah. But
and
even if you prep, like, listen, every time I fly from Florida to Connecticut, right? My eczema flares up and I get constipated. Let's just call it like it is. It happens to the body. And it's what, a 2.5 hour flight? But every time I go home, like in a couple days, my skin is dry, my eczema at the tips. I don't even got fingerprints because at the tips of my thing, the eczema is just ripping the skin apart. And then I get it under control, and then I come here, and then a couple days later it's the same thing. So imagine moving. See, what we don't realize, badass Buddha and I, we've talked about it all the time, but what people who are so busy doing, they don't realize that when you're it's a mourning process, it's a grieving process, and then you almost feel ashamed to celebrate your new chapter or the change or the new place you're moving to, because you have all these feelings of goodbyes and of severing, long time ribbons that should have been, burnt. But the thing is that it's a whole it's a whole change. And I can tell you that I just recently went through something that I initiated, and it was such a huge change that I sat with my emotions all day, and they had a party, and all my personalities loved it because we got to experience like just a roller coaster of emotions as I'm just sitting here and allowing them to come to me, to go through me. Why? Because one, I didn't understand why they were all coming at the same time. And then I started getting a blister. And me, when I get like inner fevers that don't come out, I get those, it starts off red and itchy. And that's because I'm not feeling good. And not only inside, but I think all those emotions that came to me, none of them were doubt, but they were just concern for how jazzy I'm gonna walk into my next chapter. And sitting there saying, I know I'm awesome, but can I pull it off? And will I have the gumption? Will I have the commitment to pull this off that I've been waiting for so long? So although they were positive negatives, I had to feel it. And then my body started with the sciatica pain and that thing. And then right away I ran to my lover, my Mr. Fix It, my Vicks Vaporub, and it went away like in a couple hours. But if I would have left it unattended, my lips would have split because that's what happens. So the badass Buddha is just a bit under the weather today. So ask her all the questions you want because she wants to get it out of her system and she wants to be in heavy conversation.
Yeah, exactly. You
Good
mix
morning,
vapor,
mi gente.
you do mix vapor rub like the dad did on my big fat Greek wedding with the Windex.
You know, and I always, with my innocence, always believed that Vicks Vapor Rub was a Puerto Rican thing. And then I see Joe Coy, the comedian from the Philippines, and he's talking about he died 9 times because his mother just lathered them in Vicks. And like he has a joke where he's like, "Ma, I can't sleep," and the mom comes in and rubs Vicks on his eyelids, and he's like, "Ma, I can't see." She goes, "Nah, you can sleep, Joseph." It's like everything, no hospital, no doctors. It was just Vicks. Yep, let go. Yeah, and it's good to process everything, but the emotions I was feeling were valid. They were like right there in that moment, and they were like boom. So yeah, Vicks Vapor Rub is exactly that. And let's do the intention because that's so important. It's a staple in my home.
Good morning, Desiree.
Desiree. Vicks is the go-to girl on pimples, on scratches, on pain areas, behind your ears, on your temples, behind your neck, right here in this hole right here, and then on your chest. It is for everything. It is. And let me tell you, it gets rid of a pimple in a heartbeat. So yeah.
All right, let's set our intention for today. So no matter how you're feeling, have an intention. Maybe your intention is to go back to sleep and rest because you need it. But set an intention, have a purpose, and feel good about it. Don't set an intention that is making you feel obligated to somebody that, oh, I got to do this, this, and this for a person. That's not an intention. That's just a checklist. That's a to-do list. Set your intention and say, well, I've got a lot of stuff to do today, but I'm going to do it with joy and excitement and happiness.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's all we need, right? What do we need? We need ourselves to remind ourselves that we got this. And if you can start your morning like that, I start my morning praising God. Thank you for another day, my Lord. Boom, Yahweh, Yeshua. And then I do my yoga on my bed because that's how I roll. And then I get up and I kiss my shoulders. Good morning. That's my intention. Those are my intentions. Good morning, beautiful. We're okay. And again, we're okay. We're okay. Let's let this go. Let's let this go. And then I get up and I become awesome, even when I don't want to be. Even when I don't want to talk on the phone, but I'm still doing things. I got up. First of all, that is your biggest battle, is to get up every morning. Wash your face, wash your ass, do something or do nothing, but you're up. And sometimes for many, that was like the badass thing you did all day. Am I correct, badass?
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that are going through some really challenging stuff, and just to be able to get up, because they're not well, or they're struggling with healing, and just to get up is a big thing, where other people will just look at them and go, oh, that's nothing. It's a lot for some people. Like I don't do sick well. I really, because I don't, it gets in the way. And I've been very aware of how much energy it's taking me to do the stuff that has to be done, and knowing that there's so much more that has to be done, and I just don't have the energy for it. I'm just going to have to let it go. But just to get my kid up this morning and get her going, and it was just like, ugh, I would love to have just stayed in bed. But the beauty is that I could map out my day I mean, I have appointments later in the day. I could always just rest the rest of the morning. Um, and if I couldn't, then I would have to make other choices. Like if I had a full day, I would have to have canceled something because it's just too much. So it's about pushing yourself, but listening to your body and not worrying about what any other person says. I mean, I remember when I was in my last relationship, he would get annoyed when I would get a cold, which I didn't get them often. It was like I was still supposed to get up. I was still supposed to take care of the kids. I was still supposed to go to work. And he was like a real douche about it. And I would do it because that's how I was raised. My mom would push through, and then I started to realize like how stupid that is. It's like you've got to like listen to yourself, and you've got to do what's best for you. And otherwise, you're going to pay the price. You might not pay the price then, you'll pay the price later. So yeah, there's so much to do before the before Christmas, but I'm just gonna
You
I'm
gotta
gonna
chill now. Yeah, you're
yeah.
doing the right thing. If anything, Dr. Lori Monaco, sometimes the doctors are the last ones to diagnose or treat themselves. So please be good to yourself. You just went through a whole change of life in every word of it. And we're proud of you. You did it. And right now it's just what happens. If it didn't happen, you would wonder, am I where I'm supposed to be? That's the type of question when you ask yourself, because when everything runs too smooth, it's too smooth. There has to be hiccups. I saw this thing where there's two things, right? And they put a marble on each side, and one goes straight down, and the other one is doing this. Well, the one that's doing this gets there before the one that's straight. And that's our life. When we want everything to run so perfect without any interruptions, we want to be that, gliding down the highway with the top down, and what's that guy's name? Springer,
Bruce Spring,
Springfield, Bruce Springfield. His music,
Bruce
driving down
Springsteen.
Route 66 on nice. But then, because we don't want to be going through this, but without this, we don't learn, we don't understand, we don't comprehend. So that's when all of this comes into play, and it's Wonder Woman syndrome. Absolutely, we all had it. Either you were raised to push through it, or you were raised to follow what your man says, or you were raised with no one around you that you always had to do for yourself. You always have that. And I love Wonder Woman. That's my girl. And so I think that when we are our age and we can say exactly what the badass Buddha said, then guess what? We're already where we're supposed to be. And nothing was wasted. It was learned, whether to add or eliminate from our lives. So that's how we got to look at it. What mistakes, the only mistakes we make is when we don't learn, when we don't comprehend, and when we don't listen to our bodies. So today's subject is what?
Granny panties. Our topic is holding on to things and not letting go. Not just granny panties, but also the holes in your underwear. Those pairs of panties, underwear that have the holes, and you just won't let go. You're like, no, I'll use them for when I'm like working in the garden and I'm going to be dirty or whatever. And it's not saying that you can't have granny panties. You want to always have that comfortable pair, but we're talking about does it represent you? Who is the new you? And so it's that's where the joke comes in is, are you still the granny panty? Are you the holes in your panty? Are you something a little sexier? Are you the thong? Are you but what is representing you? Maybe it's all of the above. But what we're gonna try to push you to do is let go. So throw out the ones with the holes. Throw out the granny panties that are so overstretched that you pull them up and half the time they're like they're coming down. Go through that underwear drawer and look through what you're holding on to. Not just there, but even in your closet. And it's a representation of not letting go, of
Mm-hmm.
of just saying, okay, I gotta, I'm not gonna let go of this stuff. I remember when I came out of my, what I don't like to say my, when I came out of that very depressed episode, one of the good things is I lost a lot of weight, and I hadn't been that thin in quite some time. And I looked at my closet one day and I was like, I don't like any of these clothes. They don't represent me. They're too big. And I started to shop on a website that I found really nice. It had some very nice, sexy clothes, and I bought a lot of stuff. And it was great because I felt comfortable stepping into that, and literally got rid of so many other, clothes because they didn't represent me anymore. And nor did I want them to represent me anymore. I didn't want to put them on and then people would be like, oh, like, there's Lori. No, I wanted them to see the new Lori, like bold colors and tighter fitting clothes and stuff that was a little bit more, like I said, sexy. And it was great. It was great to be able to get rid of that stuff, to let go, because that represented who I was before.
Yes, and remember, if you can't let go, then you cannot receive. When you can't or won't let go, what you're saying to God, the higher power, the universe, is that you don't need nothing, that you don't want better, that you don't need change. So we gotta let go. Yesterday we were having a conversation here about success and empowerment in women, and of course I'm talking to a man. And although the conversation was something as to nobody really wants to be around her because she's constantly complaining and crying over the same subject, which is the man she chooses to be with, right? And I said, oh, because she's very insecure and very empty. And the man says, no, she's not. She owns her own house. She has a good job. She goes to the gym at 4 in the morning, and then she comes back and takes her kids to school, and then she works, and then she picks her kids up, and then she comes and does activities with them and cooks dinner, and she's solid with spends. And I said, that's all outside. Is she really there for her kids, or is she just picking them up and dropping them off? Because she's very absent from herself.
Yeah.
Because if all you can do with everywhere you go around is complain about the man you're choosing to live with, what you're doing, all that extra stuff you're doing is whether to distract yourself or to make yourself more wanting so that he doesn't betray you, so that he doesn't wander off. Like, what is the real thing? It's still an outside facade, which leaves you very hollow on the inside, that you will complain to anyone who's willing to listen. But you're not listening, not even to yourself, when you know the truth is to walk away from that person and just be with your children and fill those empty spaces with love, with great memories, build a tradition for the three of you. All of that stuff. What good is owning a house and a car and having your body done and then maintaining it at the gym when it's still on an empty, you're serving an empty platter every single time.
Yeah.
You don't even realize that you're starving. So it's all about the granny panties. And I don't know why we picked this title, but the thing is, it's all about, we all had them at one point. And I know for me, I would always just shove them to the back of the jaw because I might need them. And that's before menopause. I might need them on those real bloated days, but they're no good. Not only are they no good, I like white cotton panties, but then by this time they're like brown because washing them, and then they get caught up and you throw them in with all your blacks, and they're just my period panties, and they don't need to be. Like, I wouldn't even use it for a rag. So why do we hold on? And I think you were going to say something with that.
Well, it's about being grateful for who you are at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
And why do we get granny panties? I mean, think about when we were in our 20s. Like, would we have ever bought the granny panties? Would we have ever had panties that had holes in them? No, because we were, back then we were, we were out there and we were out and about and we were hooking up with people and meeting people. And God forbid, you never wanted them to ever see these big gigantic briefs that you would be wearing, but The granny panties are comfortable. We get into this comfort. And that's the whole point of them, is that they're comfortable. So if we use that as a metaphor and say, what in your life are you still comfortable with that you're not willing to let go? And understand something. I get a little annoyed with personal development when they talk about you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Yes, but it doesn't mean you have to be uncomfortable. So in other words, if you say, my granny panties, um, I like them sometimes. There's some days where I just want to put a pair of sweatpants on. I'm working around the house. I'm not going anywhere. It's a little cold out. That's what I keep the granny panties for. Then that's what you keep them for. What we're saying is that look at your underwear drawer as your life. Are you wearing the granny panties every day? Are you wearing the panties with the holes every day because you're not willing to let go of certain things? You're all about the comfort. You're all about staying where you are. So have some fun with it. Actually, Thursday's conversation is going to be talking about moving forward like that. But we want you to sit with this today. We want you to sit there and think about, what am I still holding on to? What am I still not wanting to deal with? And what am I not wanting to let people know about me? So I, I avoid it, just like that story that Gladiator Guru was talking about. And we want you to flip it and say, you know what, I'm grateful for who I am right now, even if it's not where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for having learned what I have learned so far. I'm grateful for having had those lessons. I'm grateful that I have the ability to move forward. And if I'm not where I am right now, then what is my next step? Well, I'm grateful that I have the ability to acknowledge this, and I have the drive to push forward and make changes in my life. We have to check in with ourselves. As we're moving forward, sometimes we could be moving forward, but we might not be moving in the exact direction we need to go. So we have to stop and we have to assess the situation. We have to look at it all and say, okay, am I going in the right direction? Because how many times have you done that where you've moved and you say, well, I'm moving. I'm out of my comfort zone, but you're going in the wrong direction. I've done that so many times in my life, and I'm like, oh, I'm being brave and I'm going for it, but it became harder and harder and more problematic, and there was so much resistance. You'll always be tested on your path, so there will be resistance here and there. But once you're on the path you're supposed to be on, you won't have as much resistance. You'll get little things that just test you here and there, but you won't feel that constant, am I making the right choice? Am I making it? You'll be like, I am making the right choice. I know what I'm doing. I just have to stay steadfast and make sure I don't get deviated, because people and places and things will deviate you if you're not paying attention. So the first thing you're going to do is become aware of what you're still holding on to. Go into that underwear drawer. Even your bras. How many of us have bras that are stained, that have they're broken, because either we love the way they feel and we're like, I'll never find a bra like that again. But you could. There's so many bras out there. You could always find a bra that's going to fit you nice. Good morning, Madeline.
I think you got to be open to yourself. You got to cultivate. When you tend to your garden, and that is you water yourself, you give it the right foods to replenish it so that you may continue to grow in health. That's what we do for our plants. When you plant those seeds of self-trust, self-belief, of self-respect, then you earn the badge of self-love that you yourself receive. You gift it, you receive it, you pin it, because it is your garden after all. You cannot expect the neighbor to come and water your garden because you forgot. Because when you leave all those important details outside of yourself, people have their own lives, their own issues, their own granny panty drawer that they have to tend to. And although the intention behind wanting to assist you in your life may be real, maybe just fact, I want to help you. But everybody has a life to tend to. So when you put your lives in everybody else's hands, then best believe that in your garden you will reap what you sowed,
Yeah.
which is half-assedness,
Yes.
which is no accountability, which is you stay with those granny panties that are stained and have holes in it because fuck it, I'll get some when I get some. And then somebody comes over and you got to get dressed up, and now you're ashamed and you're embarrassed and you miss an opportunity to meet someone or something because you don't like what you have. And I shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's what the whole granny panty thing is about. It's like, if you do not put yourself first, everyone will always have you last.
Yes.
Because
That's
if
so
you
true.
if you see how your life, it stumbles, badass got there, she's working in the barn, a acre away from the house, she's cleaning the shed, she's emptying dish, she's organizing, she's sanding, she's painting, everything was lovely. And then now she's like, when did I get sick? And it was just of her creating her ambiance, which is very important for the spirit. But when you slip and you get that cold or you get that little itch in the eye, and then you're walking and then and then you're so focused on doing something outside of you, which is a brief conversation we had yesterday through text, and we're all as guilty. we ignore what our body's telling us, and then we become sick, and then we're so up in our heads of what we need to do, what we should have done first. If I would have done this, then this wouldn't have been undone. I gotta finish this. Christmas is coming. That we forget. Let's sit the fuck down and let's make some herbal tea and let's just chill for 15 to 30 minutes in our ambience. Because we are a whole universe in here. And we always forget. Why? Because we put people, places, and things ahead and above us. And then we're victims because I can't believe they let me down and I did this and I did that. People have good intentions, mi gente. They want to be there for you. And some will, but not in the capacity that you expect. Because everybody's fighting a silent battle. And maybe they don't want to share it, so they feel that to make them feel better, they're helping you. But it's like, exhaust all your options first as an individual. You got granny panties? Okay, sit there. If you got to take a week for you to sort them out and then another week to throw them out, how you handle your business is how well what's that word? Prepared you are. Because you're doing it. I'm not doing it. I handle life differently than the badass Buddha. Doesn't mean that we can't, we're not doing what we're doing. We just handle things differently. But if she's like, Margie, I know how you are. Just let me know when you get it done. Because she knows it's good. I have to compartmentalize. There's nothing wrong with that. But always have the end goal that you are going to make a change, even if it's as minor as getting rid of underwear with holes in it. That's what it's about. It's about changing your life one step at a time, but it is changing your life while you are acknowledging your life and you're taking accountability for that change that you so much prayed for, wanted, and asked for. And now it's coming, and now you're like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? It's coming too fast. I didn't expect it too fast. Well, it's here. What's up? And that's how simple it is. And it's as difficult as this can be. But it's not as challenging as you not doing shit for yourself will be going forward.
Yeah. Well, one of the interesting things that I found when I moved, I did get rid of a lot of stuff before I moved. That purge had started actually a year ago when I was going to move to New Mexico. Then I packed a bunch of stuff up, and then I kept purging the rest of the year. And it's interesting because when I packed everything up, I didn't think I had as much stuff. But then when I started packing it, I was like, damn, I still have a lot of stuff. And then I started to unpack it here. And as I was unpacking, there were a lot of things that I'm like, why did I even take this? Like, why didn't I get rid of this? And I started to make a pile of stuff that I didn't need anymore, that just didn't serve me. And it's interesting because we have to do that periodically, especially at our age. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean we're seasoned. We've been here a while, and we've accumulated things. We've accumulated old underwear. We've accumulated old clothes, just stuff that used to represent us when we were younger. And even as much as last year, because if you were riding the same train for a while and then had that epiphany where you just finally woke up, and if it was last year, then things a year ago are not going to match you today. So
Yes.
you've got to look back at this and go, my God, is this really important to me anymore? And if it's not, it needs to go, because it's just weighting you down. It's and that's why sometimes we'll ignore specific things like the underwear drawer. We'll change this, we'll change that, we'll go into the closet. Oh, I got boots and different things, and it's great, but the underwear has not changed. You've got to look at it and say, all right, what else is there that represents the old me? Is it what things that I'm saying? Is it things that I'm doing? Is it things that I'm wearing? Is it things that I have hanging on my walls? Is it how many years have you had the same pictures hanging on your walls? Maybe the same pictures of your children or grandchildren. Maybe it's time to swap them out for something new. Maybe a new frame. I've had the joy of putting together my bedroom, and it's been a little work in progress because I'm sort of putting it and feeling what I want to have in there. And my sister gave me such a nice compliment yesterday. She said she came in and she was talking to me about something, and she looked around and she goes, "Boy, your room is really, really nice." She's like, "It's so relaxing in here." And that is what I wanted. And I walk in and say the same thing. Like I walk in and say, "Gosh, I really like walking into this room." And
Mm-hmm.
I have not felt that way. Uh, I don't think I've ever felt that way. Isn't that sad? Like, I don't think I've ever had a room that really represented me, because I've been able to do this all myself. Like, I've been able to decide what stays and what goes, because it's just me now. Now, that doesn't mean if you have a partner that you have to be that way. This is where you stand up for yourself and you say, I want my room, I want our room this way. It's funny. Sometimes you can't let go of certain things, right? And there's this memory that I have when I was living in a smaller house. Um, I loved antique furniture. I mean, I still do, but I came across this very beautiful dining room set, and it was huge. I mean, it was actually way too big, but it would have never fit my dining room, but the table would have, and I could have moved all the other stuff. But the people were in Monroe, and they wanted $850 for this dining room set, and it was spectacular. I mean, when I tell you it was unique, it was from the 1920s, but it was a very big set, which wasn't always the case. A lot of those that were smaller. It was very ornate. It had, but not tacky, and it had the table, the chairs. It had a buffet. It had the china cabinet, and I think it had one more thing. I think it had one more thing, but all that for 850. And I remember wanting this so badly, and I went with my husband to go look at it. And he starts, well, what do we need this for? Well, I'm like, because we have no dining room table. Like we have nothing to sit down as a family. Well, it's 850 and blah, blah, blah. Mind you, this guy couldn't even tell you how many cars this guy has bought in the time that we were together. Like he bought motorcycles and he would get rid of them, bought a car. And it was like the one thing that I really wanted, like I really, really liked. And then finally he did one of those things where he's like, whatever, you could get it if you want. But he was so annoyed by it. And I was just played small. And I said, no, never mind, never mind. And they called me a month later and they say, hey, listen, are you still interested in this? Because if not, we're gonna start really pushing to sell it, because but we wanted to ask you first. And I sat there and my voice cracked as I said, no, no, it's just going to be too big for my house. And not thinking, not, or I knew deep down that I wanted it. And I knew that at some point I would make it work. Maybe move to another house where it would fit or have it in different rooms, you know? And that sat with me where I couldn't just sit there and say, you know what? I want the dining room table. I work hard. I make the most money. I want the dining room set. I don't care if you don't like it. Now, the me now is that way. I'm not going to willy nilly buy stuff. I'm going to buy stuff that I feel represents me and it's what I want. I'm not going to say no to it because I'm thinking what somebody else might think. And so for that story to sit in my head, that dining set, just goes to show you that that was me letting go of my power, because that's really what the lesson is here. When you keep when you keep the granny panties that are all stretched out because you keep saying they're very comfortable, when you keep the panties with the holes in them, you're you're not letting go completely because you still don't think you're 100% worthy. You still, it's not saying you have to go out and go buy thongs that are uncomfortable and say, I hate these, I don't want to, but they're, no, we're not saying that. Nowadays they have some really nice brief, like granny panty looking things. If they're comfortable for you, buy them, but upgrade, buy a prettier.
Yes.
You don't have to buy the old go-tos. You just buy a prettier set and say, you know what, these are comfortable to me. I like these, so I'm not going to get rid of them. See, that's very much knowing what you are and what you want, and
Mhm.
then buy something that just looks better, that represents you.
I think when you go anywhere and you do whatever it is you want to do and you purchase whatever it is you like, and when you leave whatever you don't like, that's when you're living for yourself. Because in this day and age, if we're still worried about what people are going to think or say, then we are not fully committed to ourselves. And I say that with all the love in the world. You know, el que dirán has robbed our parents and our grandparents of their dreams, of their perseverance to achieve whatever it is they really wanted to do, because, oh no, because of what other people would say, what family would think. And I've never lived by that rule, because I've always lived with, let's give them something to talk about. And that's why I wasn't well liked, but I was the black sheep of my family, but I'm the chain breaker of the generational curses as well. And when you look at people and you see that they want to tell you that they know who they are, that they're proud of who they are, but then won't make a decision for themselves because they don't want to be criticized by others, they're not walking in their truth.
Yeah.
Because to walk in your truth, mi gente, is a very lonely path. Not many will follow you. Now, and many might say, oh, yay, but then they're like, oh, she's crazy, or she's stupid, I can't believe she's doing that. And it's okay, because the only reason that they do not see your vision in full throttle is because they have chained themselves to what how they should be living. So one, they can be angry that you're actually out there living your life. Or two, they really are fearful for you because they've never lived outside the box. So that's why discernment in this time in our lives is very important, because instead of judging the person, you got to look past it and still do what you do. If you are a people pleaser still, and if you're still concerned about how other people are going to look at what you're doing and they might not like it or what they're going to think, let's start changing that. It's okay,
Yeah.
but let's start changing that. If you're already on that path and you know that it's hard, then realize, fuck it, this is my path. And everything that's happened to us, because what the badass Buddha shared about that China cabinet, I grew up with nothing. I had one pair of shoes my whole 3 years of high school, and I quit because the shoes got holes in it. And I knew I wouldn't be able to walk to high school every day in the snow because it was just one pair of shoes. So I made sure my kids never had no shoes. Maybe a little too much because now they're bougie little motherfuckers. And I felt guilty buying myself stuff. And so I would buy for, I'm their father, I would buy for them. They all got leather jackets on Christmases. They all got this, they all got that. My kids got sneakers every other week unless they messed up and I threatened them with pay less. And it was like that. And then I've always loved the Goodwill. I love to shop at Goodwill. And but that's when my love affair with Goodwill started, because I'm not saying it's wrong, but what I'm saying, at that time in my life, that's what I believe I deserved. And it was all that childhood trauma. So then as I began to learn who I was and who I am and who I want to be and what I want to do and how I don't give a shit about people with their negative thinking towards me, since I'm the main breadwinner, since I pay the bills, since I do this, since I do that. But it took years, way into my adult life. So it's okay if you're starting now. Let us know. Send us a note. We can send you. The Badass has a lot of life coaching little what do you call them? That you can pass out. Worksheets.
Oh, yeah,
Just ask us questions. Because it is a journey that will be lonely. It is a lonely journey. We've been there. We've done that. I got the t-shirt.
But it doesn't have to.
Here I am. but
listen, it doesn't have to be lonely. That's just it. Like, I think we think that. I think, like, I felt very alone when I was wanting that dining room set. I can remember that. Like, this was yesterday. This was probably like 2009, right? So that was maybe 2010. That's a long time ago. But I remember feeling very lonely. But here's the cool part about it is that the more you fall in love with yourself and the more you stop worrying about what everybody else thinks. And I like what
that's the
Madeline wrote.
lonely one.
Like Madeline put, I was a person who considered everyone's feelings and opinions until this year. The moment you shift, and she also talked about pivoting, the moment you pivot, you're not lonely anymore. Like, you really aren't. Like, I mean, I haven't dated anybody in years, it's been a long time since I've had sex. And I'm not lonely. I mean, I would like to go out with people, and I've been sort of putting myself out there, but I'm not lonely. And it's I'm in a very different place than I was when I met both of the guys that I married, because I was lonely. I was very needy. And lo and behold, I chose poorly, So for now, it's like, I feel very happy with who I am, and I'm still building. I'm still becoming, and I'm liking the journey. That's just it. I get annoyed with myself when I fall back into some of the old habits, but it's the awareness, and then say, come on, you got this, you can do it. So if you do feel lonely, reach out. I mean, that's what the tribe is for. There's always going to be people around you that love you no matter what and believe in what you can do. And then just say, listen, I just need some encouragement. Is that, it's not bad to ask for that. Ask for what it is that you need from the people that really love you and support you.
But that's where I said it would be lonely, because when you start becoming who you were born to be, people are not going to like it, especially when you've been a Captain Save-A-Hole and a people pleaser and a needy little fucker for the majority part of your life. Okay, now listen, I'm sorry if I'm going to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
But the lonely path I was referring to is that when you decide to stop being fake and stop needing, and you decide to stand up straight and walk with your granny panties with the holes in it and start really tending to your garden, people are not going to like you. It will be a lonely path. You know why?
Yes,
because the truth is not pretty, and people are so accustomed to chewing and swallowing lies just to be accepted and valued and validated that when they set off on this path, those people were not her people, that she had to try so hard to please and accommodate and tolerate, they're not gonna like your new self. So you might be teeter-tottering on, oh my God, then maybe I shouldn't. Maybe this is where I am because everybody's mad at me. It is gonna be a lonely path. So you gotta ask yourself, am I a badass? Okay? Am I that gladiator that's going to go into that arena and fight to the very end to protect the essence that God gave me?
Yes.
Okay? So when you walk this path, you're not only leaving old people, you're leaving like a whole village. Okay? The only village you've known all your life. So it's going to be scary and you're going to be lonely. But at the end of that path, you will be wealthy beyond measure.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
your new people are going to gravitate towards you.
That's right.
That new village is going to be just mass. It's not going to be a village anymore. It's going to be a whole continent of truth seekers, of people who know what their value is and will not bend just so someone else can say, good job. Oh, okay, you did good. You're awesome. Oh, I was waiting for somebody like you. Because you no longer need to feed on fakeness. The truth is painful. It's a finicky little fucker, just like healing. And you're going to be teeter-tottering. But the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Because people might have a good intentions. Okay, you're going to be away, yeah, I'll water your garden. All of a sudden, they forgot. And they're like, oh, shit. And they'll remember right when you're supposed to come when everything's already dead. Oh, I'm sorry. I intended to, but then I got called in. Or somebody got sick and I had to tend to them. The road to hell was paved with good intentions, mi gente. Be the intent in your life. Like that, nobody can let you down. When you invite people into your circle, have your boundaries set. This is what I will and will not tolerate. And if they can't do that, they don't want to do it, then they're not your people. Or you say, well, explain to me why this is hard for you. We agreed we're going to do this. Maybe they need to hear it come out of their mouth to go back into their ear so it could register like, why am I still thinking like that? Sometimes we're there to teach, not to get wounded.
Yes.
So when somebody comes up to you and says something that you don't like or that you got over and now you set your boundaries real high, instead of saying like, oh, whatever, why do you feel this way though? Because sometimes maybe nobody ever asks. Like I want to ask a question and I want to see who are the 3 people online that's going to answer truthfully and without a second hesitation. To all that are on, are you happy?
I am.
Okay.
Look at Evelyn. Evelyn.
I love Gail. She's so just transparent. I love it. Okay. Evelyn was the first one to respond. I didn't want to say giveaway like who's first and who's not. But for the first one that responded, I was gonna give a book. Okay. Look at the new hardcover book. And this question is throughout the book. Are you happy? So I only ordered 2 of these, but I love the hardcover book and the wire. And so Evelyn, you won a free Storytime Cafe presents Café con Sabiduría, Coffee and Wisdom. So I'll see you in Connecticut at the end of this week.
That was great. I like the answers. I love the answers. Like Desiree wrote, I'm grateful. Happiness is on its way. Madeline says, learning what makes me happy. Gail had said, not as much as I could be. Yeah, the honesty is great. And I have to say, I'm leaning a little towards what Gail is saying. Like, I am happy. I am. Could I be happier? Definitely. Definitely. I have my moments, but I'm definitely happier now than I have ever been in my life. I am very clear on who I am.
Beautiful.
I'm very clear on who I am. I'm very clear on what it is that I want. I think I get what makes me unhappy is those habits that I still have that I get in my own way. So that's the part that makes me unhappy with myself. But day to day, I'm definitely happy. I love where I'm living. Um, I love the people here. Um, my family is happier, so it's great. Look at Gail said
Um,
she goes, I want
yeah,
to
and I'm looking for something.
dance, hug, and laugh more. Do it, Gail. Gail has to hang out with us. We have to have a party.
Hold
We have
on,
to have
Gail.
a
I
Viva.
have something. Oh,
2024. We need to
Gail.
have a Viva party.
Yes, in my book, there's this page right here, and I'm gonna read it. It says coffee and conversations, just to go with what you said. How to celebrate yourself. And I wrote 6 things, really 7, but only 6, really, because 2 come in one. It says, take as many breaks as you need. Write a thank you letter to yourself. Allow your inner child to run free. Dance as if no one is watching and sing out loud. Hug yourself a lot and drink only good coffee. That's right here in the book. It's one of the pages. So when you said that, I was like, absolutely. Because I hug myself throughout the day. I feel the warmth. I feel, and I pat myself throughout the day. But I do hug myself. Why? Because you need 8 hugs a day at 20 seconds each. Those are healing hugs. So my family already thinks I'm weird. They're like, stop. Even my daughter's like, why are you hugging me so much? And so I do it. And I hum to myself because my whole body feels good when I hum. And I've been writing letters to myself. Well, on my pages of my book. So when I'm flipping through to find something, I'm like, oh, look at how awesome I am. Oh, thank you, Margie. You know, why not? I'm my best friend. So thank you for that. That was so beautiful, Gail. And no, Madeline, don't allow yourself. You know what? We're going to still falter because there's that one person that's going to just pull at your heartstrings, you know? Yeah. Hugs are wow. When I learned how to start hugging, I hugged. The other day, my nephew came in, my husband's nephew, and he's like, come over here, Auntie, give me a hug. He says, I just want to let you know. And I hugged him. He's like, the best hugs I ever received in my life are from you. He goes, do you know you taught me how to hug right? Because when, it's like a handshake. When you're going to shake someone's hand, you go all the way in, right? Hello. I hate when you put your hand out and somebody touches here. Like that makes me nauseous. Nauseous. I don't care if you're male or female. I'll say yuck. Because it makes me instantly nauseous. When somebody goes to give me a hug, I'm like, why are you giving me a half-ass hug? For that, don't give me a hug. Because I don't like the way it feels on my body. It's a half-ass handshake and it's a half-ass hug. So it's half energy. And I don't think it's the good half of the energy. So I feel it, like my skin crawls, like if I have a million bugs. So I'll tell somebody.
Gail said you get serotonin from
hugs.
You
20 second hugs.
One of the main things you get is oxytocin. Oxytocin is the touch hormone. That's what when women are breastfeeding, that's the massive hormone that's released to allow for breast milk to come down. And men and women have it. They're all part of the happy chemicals, serotonin, oxytocin. So it's like when we don't allow those things, that's why people have pets. When they can't connect with humans, they tend to have pets because they feel more comfortable touching them, and they can still get it from that, But this is all. I love this, and I love how Kathy said, "Yes, there's so much more wisdom in this time of life." For you specifically, because I gotta say that sometimes I think while there's a lot out there, there's so much information out there, and there's a lot of people that have this wisdom because they're taking it in. There's also a lot of people that have zero wisdom. They just refuse to let it come in because they refuse to be walk their truth. They would much rather live in that drama, live in that anger, live in that bad stuff, focus on the bad that's happening in the world, as opposed to focusing on the good that's out there and how they can contribute to that. And I've been there. I've been that person. I flip flopped back and forth. That's why letting go is really important. Think of your drawer, those underwear, as uh, you know, it's parts of you. Go into
Mhm.
your underwear drawer today, and look and see what you need to get rid of. Like, really, you'll probably dig and go, "Oh my god, I forgot I even had these." And there's like the uh, elastic is coming through, and there's like holes in it. Toss it in the garbage. Get rid of it. Get rid of it today.
Get rid of anything and everything that does not serve you. Listen, when I prayed, when I was in my self isolation, for God to remove everything and everything that did not serve me, that I was blinded to, that He has heard the conversations behind my back that I haven't, that He knows that in order to propel me forward, I need to just eliminate many people, places, and things that I put myself in, but it was not where I belonged. I was amazed. And I'm still amazed at the messages I get through just reading the room. And some of them you're like, oh my God, I really gotta let this go. I don't want to spend part. But you know what? It's be unapologetically courageous when it comes to your spirit.
Yeah.
Because it will help you clear. It will help you, like my article, unfuck your thoughts of all that negativity. It'll help you nurture your ego so that it is right there with your spirit, just wanting light, wanting to be out in that sunshine, wanting to create an atmosphere that you can be magnetic to help bring others up as well. So it's like it is a job. It's like you wanting to hit the lottery and praying on it, but you're never going to buy a fucking ticket. You got to participate in your life, no matter if you're in quicksand right now. You got to be a part of your life so that when those blessings come, when those answered prayers come, you're going to hear them and you're going to be, picked up out of there and placed where you need to be. Okay, Desiree. Yes, Gail. Look at what Desiree wrote. Gail, your soul is so beautiful. Your cat knows that just like we all do. That is just, aw. So it's not about, see, you know why I love the dynamic between the badass Buddha and I? She explains things in such a peaceful tone. She explains it and she'll chuckle and she'll laugh. And I love it. I love to listen to her because that's not who I am. And then I'm the one that says, move your ass. Enough. And I've tried that other stuff. I've tried to sit on my hands, but then I realized it's not who I am. And then I'm not going to tell you to be something that I'm not participating in my own life. I am my super fucking hero. I put my cape on. I hang it up. I know when to take it out because that's how I've had to live my life. So instead of saying nobody was there for me, I remind myself how I have always been present in my life. And that's how I continue forward, even on the lonely days. Even when you watch those movies and you're like looking at the life that you could have had but didn't with parents, and it hurts. And I've been allowing myself, Gail, to be vulnerable. And I've been crying at these movies for what I didn't have, and happy that, in this movie, they're portraying that there were families that did have these supporting parents. So it's not that they didn't, it's reminding myself what I did to make me the strong, outspoken, take no shit woman that I am today. So it wasn't my travesties, it was my triumphs. How I was always there. I felt it, I lived it, I experienced it, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I'm still here to say, you got this. An abundant, wealthy life is you being healthy of mind, body, soul. So that's what we got to work on. And I think that's it for today. Yay, we finished on time. I will be continuing to purge my life and make moves to grow. That's all we can do is water that soil. You already planted the seed. That's it.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for coming on today. We'll see you on Thursday. Thursday is Victoria's Secret. That's the title of the on Thursday's show. So go through that underwear drawer today and pull them out. Get rid of them.
That's it.
All right. From the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And Evelyn, no, we will not be on hiatus. I will be in cafes filming. First couple days while I'm in Madrid, I'll probably be where we're staying at the hostel, so that I can have perfect. But yeah, we will be on and popping. So from the Gladiator Guru, mi gente, remember to breathe in the beauty, breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.